I woke up after having a dream and I felt like there was kind of a deep meaning to it. So I wanted to put it on a video while I still remembered it. And in that dream, I was walking by a crippled man every single day. I don't know if he just couldn't use his legs. I don't think he could use his arms either. But I would stop and talk to him a little bit every day. And there was a woman in the distance, and I would talk to her too. Day after day after day, I'm walking by this guy, okay? Eventually, I feel like the Lord is telling me to marry him. And I don't know if I remembered too much about Dream in the Gene, my husband in the dream. I remembered him. But I also remembered that I was the recipient of his love. And so at one point in the dream, I finally felt like the Lord was actually speaking to me to marry the guy. And so I ended up actually going to him at some point, and his parents lived in the distance too. And I knew the Lord was telling me to marry him. And so I got the parents, and I went over to him and I told him that I was going to marry him. And he was just beside himself, unbelievable, full of joy and rejoicing. And the parents asked me something, and they were really happy. But when the emotion calmed down, they were wondering if it was about sex. And I said, I'm not talking about sex here, and we're not going to talk about sex here. And I'm never going to talk about sex to you, because that's not what the spirit of marriage is really all about. And so I totally diverted the conversation. And I went on to give a description of Christ in the church and what marriage is. Speaking the truth in love, membering each other. I mean, I went into some detail about Abel, the right sacrifice, being your brother's keeper. And I said, you know why I picked him? I said, because I know he'll be thankful. And you know why I know he'll be thankful? Because I was like him, and I was loved. I was in my bed and I was crippled, and I got loved out of it. And I'm given a really deep dissertation of why I'll understand all of his fears and control and insecurities in the midst of being loved. And it was really deep too. And the parents are crying their eyes out at that point. The girl in the distance was crying too. And he was deeply moved also. And I said to the parents, you may not always be here to care for him, but I'll be here to care for him. And then the girl was just crying uncontrollably next to him. And they could never really love each other or serve each other because they were both crippled. And she knew that, even though part of her loved him too. And I looked over at her and I said, you'll be the recipient of love too, just like him, because you'll partake of the spirit of love. And it's really difficult to give yourself to people that aren't thankful. And I said, why I picked him again? And you know what I know about you too, is that you might be thankful that you were loved also, because not everybody's thankful that they're loved. And a lot of people push away love. They have a lot of fears and insecurities and control that come up in the midst of being loved. But I'll be able to love you too, because I understand those fears and those insecurities and that control. By that point, all four of them are crying their eyes out, because I'm actually describing what the spirit of marriage is with Christ in the church. I mean, I don't know what it means, but it was really powerful. And that they got picked to be recipients of love. I said this also, I said, you know what I know about him? He'll know when he grieves the spirit of love. He'll actually know it, and he'll do something about it, because he'll value being loved so much. He won't want to chase the spirit off when he grieves the spirit and violate the spirit of marriage. Anyway, I wanted to share this with my husband more than anything. I really felt like the Lord just put a spirit on me to explain to those 4 people what the spirit of marriage is with Christ in the church. I went into a lot more depth in the dream than I remember now, but wish I had that on a record because it was pretty powerful. Anyway, didn't want to forget the dream since I just woke up recently. Bye.